Welcome to Dayla's class, brought to you by Alondra, Sofia, and Carmen.
Have you ever thought about why we get sick sometimes? What exactly causes the illness, such as a cold, upset stomach, or even a sore throat? Well, a disease is caused by pathogens. These are tiny microorganisms such as bacteria, viruses, fungi, or parasites that make us sick when they get into our bodies. Luckily, our body's immune system can protect us from invasion of pathogens. The immune system is made up of specialized organs, cells, and tissues that all work together to destroy invaders. The immune system's reaction to invading pathogens is called an immune response. When the immune system fights an invader for the first time, it's called a primary immune response. If the same pathogen has attacked before, it's called a secondary immune response. So how does our immune system destroy pathogens? Well, this is done by specialized cells in our bloodstream called white blood cells. There are different types of white blood cells that help destroy the pathogens. Some of them produce antibodies, which are specifically designed to bind or to attach to one of the pathogens. Once antibodies bind to the pathogens, other types of white blood cells take over and destroy them. It is important for our immune system to differentiate between pathogens and our regular cells in our bodies. This is why antibodies are specifically designed to only attack one type of pathogens. Antibodies function similar to a lock and key system. They can only bind to pathogens that have a marker that matches up perfectly. That way, only the targeted cells will be destroyed and the good cells are ignored. However, sometimes the system fails, causing autoimmune disease, in which the immune system attacks our own body. Once our immune system encounters one specific pathogen, it is able to remember it with the help of special types of white blood cells called memory cells. The memory cells stay in our body and remember what kind of antibodies need to be produced to match the pathogens. When a second attack by the same pathogen occurs, they can quickly respond and produce antibodies to fight the pathogen. This way, our body can build an immunity to certain diseases. Sometimes we might not get sick at all, or the illness might not be as severe. This is also how vaccines work, by introducing our immune systems to dead or weakened pathogens so they can develop antibodies for it. To get a closer look at the way our body fights off pathogens, we're going to be creating a model. For today's activity, you will need the following materials: a strip of magnetic tape, a ruler, a marker, 2 Ziploc bags, 3 twist ties, a pair of scissors, a cup of salt, and a pound of iron fillings. I will start by taking my magnetic tape and making markings at 1-inch marks. You should be able to get 3 pieces total. Once you are done making your markings on your magnetic tape, you may cut them out. Up next, you will need 2 Ziploc bags, your ruler, and your marker. You're going to be creating squares that are 4 inches by 4 inches. You will be doing this with both of your Ziploc bags. When you are done, you're going to be cutting out your squares. Right now you have 2 squares. So your next step is to cut along the edges to create each square into 2 separate squares. You will end up with 4 squares, but for this activity, we only need 3. So move on to the side and now get your magnetic pieces. Place the magnetic piece in the center of each piece of plastic. Then twist the plastic together and tie it up with a twist tie. Repeat this step with all of your pieces. You should have 3 in total at the end. These pieces that you have created will represent the primary immune response and the secondary immune response. Up next, you will need your cup and your cup of salt. Pour your cup of salt into the cup, and then go ahead and pour your iron filling into the cup as well. For the next step, you will need to be able to cover your cup. I used what was left of my bag and a rubber band for this. Once your cup is completely covered, just shake your cup, and all of your iron should be mixed up with your salt. Your iron fillings should look like tiny specks throughout your cup. Once the iron filling is properly mixed in, put your little piece of magnet inside the cup and cover your cup once again. You're going to start to shake your cup all over again. So what's happening here? The salt represents the cells that are in our human body, and the iron fillings represent many copies of the same pathogen. In our model, the human body is infected with pathogens. Each piece of magnetic tape represents many antibodies made by the immune system to fight the pathogens. So now let's see what happens if our body was to be infected by the same pathogens for a second time. Whereas during the primary immune response, there were no memory cells present, they already exist when the secondary immune response happens. As memory cells remember which antibodies to make for specific pathogens, they can make these much faster than during the primary immune response. Here we are able to see the more pathogens were killed with the presence of memory cells. Something to keep in mind while doing this activity is that the model is not up to scale. In reality, the cells will be much larger than the pathogens, which will be much larger than the antibodies. Another thing to keep in mind is that the antibodies only bind to a single pathogen. Let me know what you think about this activity. If you have any questions, leave it down in the comment section. And as always, thank you for joining me today.